नमस्कार मित्रांनो. आज आपण भेटायला चाललो आहे एका अशा अवलियाला, एका अशा व्यक्तीला जो बेल्जियममधून 1998मध्ये भारतात येऊन हिमालयन ट्रेल्स, अल्ट्रा रन, सह्याद्रीमध्ये 2 महिन्यात 200 किल्ले, असा आपला सगळ्यांचा लाडका बेल्जियमचा पीटर वॅन गेटला भेटायला आणि त्याची एक छोटीशी मुलाखत घ्यायला चला. I'm also a trekker and traveling in Sahyadris from last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I have seen your first Dome Dam video, which you swim and went to Raireshwar fort where Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj took oath of Swaraj.
Right? Correct.
You came in Chennai. You came in India in 1998, right?
Yeah, correct.
For 1 year contract.
Yeah, correct.
So fortunately, that 1 year contract
got extended
till 21 or 22 years, right?
Correct, yeah.
So your experience?
India was actually completely unknown to me because I had never traveled outside Europe during my young years. The only thing which I knew about India is some of the documentaries they used to give on National Geographic about these snake charmers or the holy cows roaming in the roads. So when I came here, I mean, the cities themselves, they're like Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, they are quite metropolitan. So there you're working in a modern multinational environment. You're working together with other people from all parts of the world. But India, I mean, one thing that I liked about India is the natural beauty. So very soon after I was here working for a couple of months, I bought myself one of these Enfield Bullets, and I started exploring the Western Ghats, even went to the Himalayas.
You started Chennai Trekking Club.
Correct.
You started some social activities like cleaning coastal area in Chennai, ultra runs. I have seen your video of 2,000 kilometers in 50 days.
Yeah, Vietnam.
How you think I have to do that? How
that actually grew over the years. So like you said, 10 years after I was in India, I did a lot of exploration on biking and so. But then in 2008, after 1 decade, I wanted to connect with more like-minded people. So I started the Chennai Trekking Club, which was basically a blog with some pictures and some write-ups. And then very soon, within a couple of months, I was having like 20-30 people joining me every weekend. So the beauty about that group was it was non-profit, volunteer-based.
So everyone was maybe passionate about that.
Passionate basically. So it's nice to visit places with like-minded people rather than going alone.
Right.
So that time actually for the last 10 years we have almost been out in the wild, in the outdoors, on initial hiking, like wilderness hiking. We used to go in jungles and mountains without trails. And then over the last, somewhere starting in 2013, 5 years later, then I got more into running. So initially we started doing like 10 by 10 runs in the city where we run 10 kilometers for 10 days. Soon again we were running in the mountains, like doing 50-kilometer runs in beautiful trails in the mountains. I started running some of the marathon events, the ultra runs in India as well as in Europe. And then very soon where I used to bike and cycle in the Himalayas, I started running in the Himalayas. So like for example, from Shimla, I started running through the Spiti Valley. Then from Spiti, I got into the Pangi Valley towards Jammu. So that was like 700 kilometers of running over 12 days, 50 kilometers per day. But the only thing that I faced is always a restriction of time. So I was always saying I had to go back to office on Monday, or I could only take 2 weeks off. So in that way, I always felt very constrained in my time and freedom. So 2 years ago, then I made a big decision to quit my job completely, although it was like a very well-paid job, and kind of scaled down my minima to a more minimalist lifestyle. And then I actually was a free man. And then my first big trip was like you said in Vietnam. I was able to run 50 days, 40 kilometers per day. Covering 2,000 kilometers again in very beautiful mountains. That was my first big solo trip where I ran with a little tarpaulin sheet and sleeping bag and mat. So I could sleep anywhere where I ended up at the end of the day. And there, I mean, in addition to the natural beauty, I experienced overwhelming hospitality. So in many little villages where I ended up, like people were inviting me for food and night stay. So that was like a beautiful journey actually, which inspired me on the current trips.
How you could manage your expenses or something?
Yeah, so I mean, many people ask me that, but one thing I can tell you: once you step out of the cities, once you go
Right.
to the mountains, you can't spend much money anymore because I carry my tent with me. I never stay in hotels or lodges. The only expenditure you have actually is, again, I run. I don't use vehicles or taxis to travel. I run or cycle or whatever. So the only expenditure you have is your food. And in remote places, small villages, even in Maharashtra, you hardly spend 50 rupees for a
Per
plate
meal.
of bakris or a plate of momos in Himachal. So in that way, with 200 rupees, you can easily cover your daily food expense, which means that you hardly spend up 5,000 rupees a month.
Right.
At the same time, I have a house in Chennai, which I rent out now, which gives me more than enough to cover my daily expense on these long trips.
Living in Belgium, living in India for so whatever reason. So you feeling like okay, happy or something?
Definitely,
Or
I
you
mean,
remembering too much of Belgium or something?
yeah, so I don't feel like going back to Belgium anymore because I feel it's a little bit of a boring place. It's also flat, there are no mountains there. So I feel there is much more vibrance and much more energy in India. I mean, a lot of young people that give me company on these runs and adventures. And India has a lot of virgin forests and mountain ranges. I mean, the Himalayas, the biggest mountains in the world are here, much bigger than what we have in Belgium. The biggest hill in Belgium is 300-meter high.
Okay.
So
300 meters.
not very exciting actually. So in that way, I mean, although it's a little bit more chaotic sometimes, it's also much more colorful, much more vibrant. India, and I like it here. I mean, there are so many beautiful natural places. I like the food. I like the culture. It's like a blue sky 365 days. In Belgium, it's mostly cold and rainy, so you cannot go out every weekend. You have to plan according to the weather. So I really love this place. I mean, so much natural beauty. Then the hospitality of the people is also amazing.
Basically, you like the place, you like the nature, you like people in India.
Correct, so that's the reason why I settled down for the last 2 decades.
It's great to hear and also a proud moment for us. So the important question, how you come to know about Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and his forts in Maharashtra?
Yeah.
Because it's not only a touring destination or trekking destination.
It's not very known, correct?
Yes. So basically, what happened before 350 years, Maratha Empire, Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and his soldiers, they fought from that forts, and that forts saved from enemies.
Correct.
So it has a history. I mean, it's not only a trekking destination. And
definitely.
So how you come to know about that? You read somewhere or on
so
internet?
I've been spending most of my summer in the Himalayas. So this year I was looking for like a place to spend a couple of months and a couple of thousand kilometers in South India in the winter. Because now it's full of snow, the Himalayas. So then I already had come to Mumbai for a talk in February in the Himalayan Club to talk about my Himalayan 2018 mission. So and then a couple of friends from Pune had taken me to some of the forts like AMK, Ratangat, Kalsubai and stuff. So then I knew there were a couple of forts, but I didn't know there were so many forts. So in October, when I came back from this year's Himalaya journey, I got to know that there were like 300 plus forts, and I started creating like a big map, started pinpointing all the forts. And I started kind of checking how I can connect all these forts on foot because I like to go running from places. So out of 200 forts, I was able to connect like some 50 forts on foot, and then another 150 I kind of split into regions: Nasik, Satara, Mumbai, Pune, Lonavala. So and those I kind of did by bike because it's thousands of kilometers of travel. So to wrap it up in 2 months. But as I was doing that, so I saw it again more like from a nature point of view. But as I was doing it, every fort, like you say, has a history attached to it. You have like Shivneri Fort where Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was born. Then you have a certain forts like Pratapgarh, like Parandar, where important battles have been fought. Raireshwar, where
Raireshwar.
Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj took the oath at the age of 13 to fight off the invasion. So bit by bit, I got to know little pieces of the Marathi history, and I got quite a bit of respect for this person because he was
That's
a
great.
person of the people. He was not like the current politicians who are just filling
That's
their
great.
pockets, but that guy actually stood up as one of the only people in India to fight off these periodic invasions of the Mughals and also the European colonialists, the Portuguese and the British. So, and he was indeed, thanks to these strategic ancient volcanoes, the Sahyadris, he could build these very strategic forts. Even though the armies has like thousands of warriors, they could not get to those places. And
And the cannons and everything, which cannot go up.
yeah,
So-
correct.
And it's even difficult to climb also.
Yeah.
The people
Forget
will get
about
tired,
fighting.
yes,
Correct.
and how they will fight on the top.
Yeah, so that made it very interesting. And every of the 200 forts, I mean, people say what is your favorite one, but I think every of these 200 was unique because every fort
each
has some
has-
different kind of reinforcements, rocket steps, water tanks,
Right.
or entry gates. So it has been an amazing journey actually all the way till the end.
So each and every place has its unique
Kind of
uniqueness.
flavor, either the way to
Right.
reach there or
Right.
whatever, say the ruins which are left on top.
Constructions on the top and
Or the
everything.
history at that place. So
Right. About your backpacks, you said you took a minimum backpack.
BV basically small sleeping bag and then one mat,
One
correct?
mat.
Just to be able to
That's it.
sleep anywhere, wherever I end
Right.
up, because I don't know where I will end up at
Right,
the end of the day. Sometimes you're able to reach the village, you can sleep in a temple with proper cover, you find food. But in some places, at the end of the day, when it gets dark, you're at the top of a fort or a hill somewhere, and then you should have some minimum gears to sleep and not get disturbed by rain or cold wind or so.
And minimum years will help you to reach, more to
That's
cover.
the whole key. Yeah. So going very
Right.
lightweight. As a runner, actually, you count every 100 grams.
Right.
So you try to really optimize your luggage. I don't carry food. I don't carry water. And I just carry like 1.3 kilogram of night shelter, which allows me to stay anywhere in the night.
Right.
Food again, I end up in a village somewhere during the day, so where I can have food, either
Right.
buy food in a shop or a small dhaba. And in many cases, again, people invite me as a solo hiker.
Because I mean, it's like something very out of the box for them.
Correct,
Like someone is coming out of India.
Yeah,
I mean,
solo.
because many people who look at you, they will not say you are staying in Chennai from 21 years.
Correct, yeah.
They will see, out
See
of
you as a tourist who is
yes.
lost, basically.
Maybe because no one comes solo, right?
Yeah, correct.
Because many people comes with group and
Guide at
everything.
least, or with
and,
group,
right.
yeah.
So maybe that was the point of attraction.
I think
in
so,
you.
yeah.
How you will guide? I mean, in safety, in terms of safety and in terms of enjoyment and everything. How to look at the nature.
So first, first of all, the Himalayas. So when you go to the Himalayas, it's totally different game because once you start going above 3,000-4,000 meter altitudes, higher altitudes, you need proper acclimatization.
Right.
There's much less oxygen in the air there, so your brain needs to be accustomed
Right.
to having less oxygen in the air. So you need to spend almost a week then to get acclimatized
Right,
for
right.
4,000 or 5,000 meter altitude passes. So that's one important aspect. Second one is that as you go to these higher altitudes, the weather gets more extreme. So
Right.
the rain, the cold, the snow is much more risky than here. You can enjoy a monsoon rain, but there it becomes very risky. You can,
It's difficult to breathe also.
yeah, and it's you're quickly out of breath because at 5,000 meter you only have 50% of the oxygen of sea level. So the terrain also gets more challenging. You have like landslides, you have like very steep, I mean like the climbs there, I would say one pass is almost equal to climbing 8 to 10 forts in the Sahyadris. So it's a little bit more kind of challenging. So I would not suggest people to go solo initially
Right.
because
So
it's a bit more risky.
it's
Go in a small
slow,
group
right.
with a couple of friends or even go with a group who
Right.
organizes treks to the Himalayas, get a feel initially. Or take some easy passes. I think
Right.
I've now documented some 160 passes on my blog, so you
Right.
can get a lot of information from
yes,
the
I
blog
have seen.
ultrajourneys.org. and go step by step basically, because even for me it was like a learning experience.
Because initially, if we go solo, then maybe it's
bit
more
risky.
difficult.
If anything happens,
right.
nobody is there
Nobody
to
is
get
there,
help.
right.
So
Initially, go with easy treks and with professionals
that's correct.
or with locals.
Yeah.
So that's great. And in Sahyadris, about your experience of 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, here it was quite interesting. I mean, I was again equipped with like a map of those 200 forts. Say for 95% of the forts, I knew the route from the base to the top, so I could go Alpine style by myself. Here again, you don't have to carry that much luggage of protection against cold and weather. So, I mean, but it was a nice experience also. I mean, that unique combination of nature, ancient volcanic topography with the rich history, and the same hospitality which I experienced in the Himalayas.
Yes, okay.
So that made it really amazing. And again, every fort is unique actually. Even at Fort 200, you're still surprised to see something totally different than the previous 199 forts.
Alpine style is what?
It's actually you have two kind of ways to explore. Like this is something that comes from the Himalayas. Many of the people who hike in the Himalayas go expedition style.
Right.
Expedition style means that you'll have a lot of porters carrying luggages, heavy luggages to the base camp, and then again you will start climbing. Sherpas will be there to put up the route, and so it's like fully supported and fully guided. When you say Alpine style, that's more like a European term, where like in the Alps in Europe, people actually go Alpine style, which means you go fully by yourself.
Okay.
You mean you plan your own route, you carry your own gear, there's nobody along with you to carry your stuff.
Okay.
So you're kind of independently and self-sufficient hiking, no porters, no guides, nobody to cook your food. So it's much more challenging because it's so easy to just follow the footsteps of a guide in front of you. Doing it Alpine style is much more exciting because you're the way to open the trail, you're the way, the one to find the way, and you also have to carry your own food and your own gears basically.
So it's more of self-independent
exactly.
style of exploring.
Yeah. And I think that's the only real way to explore. I mean, if like you see many of the Europeans and you see one couple in Europe who hikes in the Himalayas, there will be like 5 horses carrying 250 kilograms of luggage, tables, chairs, toilet tents. There will be a cook, there will be a guide, there will be a horseman. It's too much of support. I mean, it's more like a tourist trip. It's not
maybe
really...
one of the best moment or best memorable point.
Our special moments are always when you end up, like you climb 10 forts in a day, you're like burning so many calories, you're completely sweat and drained, you're a little bit hungry, having burned so much of energy, and then at the end of the day, when you're lucky to end up in like a small village, maybe initially you settle down in the temple, but then somebody will be there to just come and get you. Please come and stay at my home, take a hot shower, have nice bakris with pitla, and sleep in a bed while the person sleeps on the floor. That's like, those are the most unique moments actually of the trip.
Yes. So you mostly prefer to swim and lake or some well. So
where I stay in Chennai, I actually stay close to the beach. So there I used to go swimming for like 3-4 kilometers inside the sea. So when it's very deep inside and you look at the coast, you will hardly see the coast or the buildings on the coast.
Okay.
So that's also very peaceful because you're in the middle of nowhere and you're floating in the ocean. It's like sometimes I go in the night, I can see the stars on top of me.
Oh, that's great.
So that's an amazing feeling. So we used to organize open water swimming camps in Chennai where 50 people will come and practice for triathlon in Chennai. So I mean, I love swimming in natural waters, not in the chlorinated swimming pools. So in that way, whenever I see like a beautiful lake like near Mahabaleshwar, I'm very tempted to just jump in, pack up my luggage and swim across rather than taking a bus or a ferry.
Right. So in this your journey, do you feel language is a barrier?
I don't think so, yeah. Just like I ran in Vietnam for 50 days, I spent now 2 summers in the Himalayas and 2 months in Maharashtra where people don't speak English much.
Right.
So language is not a barrier. I mean, as you see somebody in a place somewhere and looking at the face, you can immediately see the facial expression. Whenever you see a smile, you know there's a connection. You show some pictures on the smartphone, so the person understands you have been coming. Like you have covered 50 forts over 1,000 kilometers.
Right.
So that way you immediately feel the
that
nature of the
connection,
person.
that
and-
bond.
Yeah. So you don't need to speak any.
One more, your friend who was every time in green jersey or yellow
Varun,
jersey.
I think.
Varun. So
or
he
Keda.
was with you all the time.
Oh, that's friend. Okay, that guy
Ah.
joined me from Chennai. He's
Okay,
there
so-
for 10 days. It's actually part of my ultra running group in Chennai. So we
Okay.
have a group of runners there who used to run 100 kilometers in the weekends in the hills. So his name is Bragadish. He's from Tamil Nadu, and he actually joined me for a week.
Okay.
And then he was so much into it that he got another 1 week of leave from his manager, and he ended up spending 2 weeks with me.
I hope he also enjoyed the.
Definitely, yeah. He had a fantastic time.
Okay, great then. Wish you a
Cool,
very happy,
Sure.
very explore. you explore much, and we'll also explore with you.
Definitely.
So thanks. That's it from me. I mean
Okay.
that's what I want to know from you actually. How you
Okay.
came here, how you
Okay.
able to manage everything, because it's not easy to come from a different country to
Oh.
anywhere. I mean,
But
and
it's-
just to get adjusted with everything,
No.
even with food, even with people.
Depends
So-
on the individual. I think if you're
right.
open-minded and if you're a little bit adjustable,
Then you can.
it's nothing like Belgium or India or Thailand or America.
Yes,
You can, the world is one big beautiful place, and you can traverse anywhere. So we're all children of the same planet in the end.
Great. So, too many things I came to know about you. I mean, already I knew something,
Yeah. Okay.
and today also I came to know many more things.
Cool.
So let's end up this talk. Let's meet some
Yeah,
other
sure.
day.
We'll see some
Okay.
other place. Nice
Yes.
meeting you, Neil.
Thanks. आय होप सगळ्यांना व्हिडिओ नक्की आवडला असेल. व्हिडिओ नक्की आवडला असेल तर लाईक करा, शेअर करा, सबस्क्राईब करा. निलेश जाधव व्लॉग्स.